think I have this all set up properly this week. And my mic is working this week. I've tested it. I tested it over on Instagram. So there should be no sound issues this week. We're doing it live again this week because seasonal affect disorder is starting to kick in. It is the end of January and we've had less than about 15 hours of sunlight since the winter started. And so I have officially reached my, I need like actual sunlight point. And so we're doing this live and hopefully that helps. I'm also feeling really uninspired by this week's paint your style. So I'm hoping that doing this live and then just like playing around with the two sort of more unusual things that I've got out this week, which are the color combination dictionaries and the color meditation deck. And I'm going to let one of these decide the color palette. Do not break a ceramic palette to start this video, because that would be a very me thing to do today. Let's tuck these ceramic palettes up to the side for now. So I don't actually know what I want to do. The Paint Your Style cover picture was the cover photo of this live. I'm not the biggest fan, mostly because it's way more detailed than I want to go this week. But I think I'm just going to pick a paper. Like I haven't even decided if I'm doing it on black paper or white paper. That's where we are right now in life. So I am going to, do I pull a color prompt card first? Maybe. Let's do it like that. As much as I want to use these, I don't know. This one's book one. Let's stop on a random page. I could use these two palettes to do it. That could be interesting. That is an interesting way to approach it. Doing it only using those two palettes. I think I probably could. Okay, actually, let's do it like that. Maybe we'll end with a color card. It's been a while since I've gotten to use a color card. Mostly because I tend to do them with friends, and I haven't had people over in a bit. Right. So, I need a grayish lavender, a blue, a green, and a cobalt. Let's grab this book. I'm just knocking stuff over now, like it's a game. So let's grab this book, this fabulous, fabulous book, which is the Hex book, but also has the cards from the palette swatching video, which is no longer up to date because I added a whole bunch of stuff since. I want Roman Szmal Green Earth. Which is this. It's going to be my light green. It's going to be that earthy green. Blooms number 2. It's going to be the earthy green. I need that blue. Roman Szmal's Misty Morning is going to be that blue. And I've just destroyed the palette. I dropped that tray. Fun, fun, fun. All right, purpley gray. I want Eternal Rose. I'll fix the green section later. Do I want Eternal Rose or do I want Putty? No, I want Eternal Rose. What if I'm grabbing colors from brands that no longer exist? Well, so far every handmade color I've grabbed is from brand. Amaranthus is going to be our Is Amaranthus? It is going to be that. And then we need a blue. Turquoisey blue. I like Silversmith by Addison and Sedgwick's. Alright. This color palette may not work at all, or it may work. We'll find out. So, we might start with this as the base, and then I might add to it. Let's now pick a size of paper. Because I don't actually know what I want. Use one of these. It's been a long time since I've done one of these squares. And they are quite nice to work on. Because I can ditch all this other paper for now. So I'm also going to tape off a border. What size do I want? Oh, it's mic bumping into my shirt constantly. I apologize if it has been. Thicker or thinner? Let's do thin. I love these combination of color dictionaries. They're, I think, only available on Amazon. I saw them referenced. I think it's got to be 2 years ago. In somebody's video. Sort of when the color cube was really, really popular right at the beginning. And as a Canadian, it was quite difficult to get and incredibly expensive. And so I was not getting a color cube, but I wanted something similar. And I found these books that were republished in, I think they were republished in 2011, but are originally from, I think, the 1940s. I believe is when the first one came out. And then the second one came out in 56, I believe. When did this one come out? Oh, published from 1933 to 1934. And so it was originally part of a 6-volume series. And then the second one is later. Color combinations, including examples of it in patterns and textiles which I absolutely love using for projects because it's such a cool thing to have, like, the products that it was used on and then the colors that make up those designs. And then at the end, there's a huge amount of color indexing. I haven't figured out what these are for. I think you might you're supposed to cut them out and stuff and like create your own color combinations. I haven't. I've left the books intact, but they're great. And they also came with a poster of a whole bunch of Japanese pigments, which were awesome because it showed all like the different pigments that Kuretake used in their sets. Like a few months before Kuretake decided to make their pigment list public. So it was cool to see all the pigments that are used in Japanese watercolors, or traditional Japanese watercolors. So if you want something sort of similar to the Color Cube, but different in the sense that like it's just really colors, like this first one is just colors. It's just, and it goes, I think, to 4 in this book. Yeah. And at the end, they have a whole list of just different colors broken down into, I'm guessing these are pigment codes for digital. But I don't do nearly enough digital work to actually know for sure. So let's grab a palette. This is the Maiden Divided palette. It is definitely one of my favorite palettes. Mostly because I can tuck paint colors into one section and use the others for mixing. And like it's nicely divided and it's got brush rests, but I also like that like I can tuck things in. There's my Tintoretto. I'm not doing a swatch card yet, mostly because I'm not confident that stuff isn't going to change as we go. Do I not have, there's a Cotman liner. Let's get rid of the tape. Let's bring in our rinse cup and move this book. It would be really sad if I get water all over it. Now, I think I'm probably going to end up adding white gouache, just based on the fact that so much of this palette is white. And I'm not the best at leaving white space yet. I tend to forget. Alright. Can this really be called a paint your style if I'm using somebody else's color palette? I don't know, but I'm going to figure this out. So, I'm going to start with the mountain line, because I think that gives a pretty clear horizon line for those trees that go in front of it, and then the second row of trees. We have a plan. I like having a plan. Just put this down here. Put this up here because I'm going to need it, but I don't need it yet. The current favorite use for the Ferris wheel ink carriage, I believe that it's called, when I'm not actually using it for paint, for ink bottles, is using it to hold fountain pens. Works very well. So, let's look here. Normally I dislike the harsh lines you get on this paper using it wet on dry. In this case, though, I'm using it to my advantage. Paper is a fan of the harsh line, which is nice in some settings. Such as this, where I feel like cheating my mountain range. So, up next we have, I want to do the sky next. Maybe. Alright. This paint your style is really like, how much of this can I cheat? Let's actually see what these clouds look like. Are they too pale? Oh, my ring light isn't even on. Let's see if that fixes things. Oh, a little bit, yeah. Now, let's add a little bit more definition to the sky. Alright. For these tree trunks, they need to be brown. I'm going to take some of this purple. Some of this green. More of this green. Now made a gray that takes up this entire mixing thing. Because apparently I don't care about actually having space. How much of this purple am I going to have to add to fix that mistake? I would say quite a lot. Here I have a tester. An entire bag of them. Good. I keep offcuts so that I can test. I don't actually hate this. And it's going to be nice for the foliage, but it needs to be more purple to count as a brown. Aha! Let's quickly dry this page. All right. I'm actually going to use something smaller. There's one. There's two. There's three. Nope, there's four. It is so hard to paint backlit pine trees in the snow. One of the things about paint your style is that so infrequently is it something I'm comfortable with painting. Where am I? 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, so I miss the sunsets. So I did gift. There was a macaron piece a few months back, and I did just gift mine to a friend for her birthday, and she quite likes it. So, like, they are great pieces sometimes, but they are so different from what I normally paint. And these tree trunks are too thick. I'm hoping that my pine branches save it. I am painting these too thick. And I know that. I'm also, like, almost out of brown. Oh, one that's just like tucked in here. All right. In the painting, in the photo actually, there are like a grove of trees back here. I'm leaving it as the mountains. I like it. And I think if I put trees in, it's going to look too busy. I will, though, with a very light brush, a little scraggly tree over here. Right. It's also got some rocks and other stuff, but I will add that in once I've dried this page. Alright, let's grab some of this green. Why am I mixing with this brush? That's stupid. Let's grab some of this. A touch of this. That is too bright. Do a little bit of blue and a touch of purple. I think we're still a bit brighter than what I want. Actually, we're not awful for the first layer. So I'm gonna probably do 2 or 3 different greens for these trees and just layer them, just to give these branches a bit more. I'm not doing them super detailed. I'm doing them the same way I always do trees, which is just like splattering. It really is my style for trees. So if I change that, it wouldn't be a painter style anymore. It would be painting somebody else's style. Once this is dry, I will go in and layer another type of green on top. Yeah, I love using green like that as like, yeah, it's mostly because what I've done is use those color cards, and so I am trying to work from this really odd limited palette, which is probably my favorite way to do a challenge that I'm not super excited about, is just to go like, here's colors that are really odd, let's see what I can do with them. And in this case it like works quite well, but it does like definitely feel like cheating. I'm also choosing which trees to do because like some of them will definitely be behind, and so you wouldn't see a whole bunch of their branches. And so I'm being a bit more selective with where I choose to sort of glean. This one over here, though, is going to be the most detailed, because it's very clearly like it's got like the curved. There. It is cool. I'm using the Dictionary of Color Combinations, which is a consolidation of color books from Japan published in 1933 and 1934. And specifically, I am using these two palettes. So I'm using palette 187 and 188. So I started this video with flipping through this book and stopping on a page at random and choosing two color palettes because I was feeling really uninspired by this week's painting. And so I figured that if I went in with a totally mystery color palette, that maybe that would help things along. And so far it has. I feel a lot happier with it being a total mystery. And so then I went through my palette and I pulled colors that seemed close to it. And so it's a mix of, I think everything's handmade except for the two Roman Szmal paints, which I guess are still technically handmade, but they're not handmade small shop anymore. I'm gonna dry this quickly. So there we go. And now I'm gonna mix up another green. Let's go with something slightly more moody. It's way too blue. More blue. Which green do I need to add to take this where I want it to be? Yeah, I don't know. A very pretty teal. Not what I want. That's what I want. Yep. It's got the depth and dimension. It's a nice, moody green. So Let's clean this brush off. And let's grab this tiny again. And so realistically, this tree needs to get some water down this. And maybe they all get like watered down branches. And then only some of them get defined branches. I'm realizing that I'm going to make my shadows a lot harder than they need to be. Right now there's too much empty space. And so then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick the ones that sort of fall in front. For giving them branches. I like that I was really worried about like leaving white space in my clouds because I never remember to, and like I've covered up the entire sky. You can't see a single. Oh, I guess you can see like this top edge, but like other than that, like you can't see any of the sky, and so it didn't actually matter. All right, let's try this again. And where are what's next? I need to figure out what tree's in front. You're in front. And you're in front. All right. And this side of this one's in front. Really? It's mostly this tree next to it that's in front. Yes, I did unmute the mic after drawing the page. And then it's this one. This one in front. I found mine on Amazon. It's the only place I found them. And it comes, I got mine as a 2-set because there was also later on in his life, he did a second edition where he published them with designs, either textile or like interior design items that use those color combinations, and so you get to see them in practical application. The beginning starts the same way with the patterns. Sorry, not with the patterns, with the color swatches. And then as you get into the book, you have color swatches on one side, and then the practical application of a design using that color pattern on the other side. And they're more complex in this book than they are in the other one. The other book only goes up to 4. I believe this book goes up to 8. So I really like them both. I found them when like the color cube was becoming popular, and the color cube was really expensive to ship to Canada. And so I was looking for alternatives that still offered like color palettes, and I settled on these, and I absolutely love them. They're one of my favorite ways to like get out of my head when I am working on something that I don't know what I want the color palette to be. They're an absolutely fantastic resource to have in my studio. Alright, that sort of turned into a bit of a hot mess with all the greens. I have regrets. I have regrets. I think I should have gone lighter on my first layer, but live and learn. And now we have the shadows. I'm sort of less afraid of the shadows after the cabin piece a few weeks ago. Like, they just don't scare me as much as they would have 3 weeks ago. That being said, I'm still not the biggest fan of playing around with shadows. I need to be slightly darker than that. Definitely made you too dark now. Maybe you weren't too dark. Off the top. Okay. Let's okay. Let's grab a touch of this, and a touch of this, and a touch of pink, because there's also, I just realized, a little rock that I need to put in. It's like sort of gray over here. Alright. Is it my favorite thing I've ever painted? No. Is it the worst thing I've ever painted? Also, like, nowhere near. So, I'm going to see if I can fix this one shadow. It's wonky. Other than that, though, like, I'm pretty happy with it for the most part. I've left a lot of white space, which is something I am notoriously bad at. And yeah, I'm, like, not unhappy with it. So let's on border tape. And then, oh yeah, no, I like that. Let's create our color card for this. I'm going to use that paper. I guess we're using Aqua Hot, because that's what I've got. So, I need that one, actually. We have 6 colors. Yes. And they are Eternal Rose, Amaranth, a Green from Blooms watercolor that was just like a grab bag color. I just labeled it number 2 because what I do with grab bags is I just label them the number of whatever grab bag. So that if I get more grab bags, like the number just keeps increasing. This is Addison and Sedgwick's Silversmith. Roman Szmal Green Earth. Just one of my favorite PG23s. An entire video on PG23 and why I love it as a pigment. And then Misty Morning by Roman Szmal. Another absolute favorite pigment. Well, not pigment because it's a mix, but another favorite paint. I think it was included in my mixing grays video. One of them. I don't know which part though. It may have been part 3. So what palette numbers were these? I think they were 180 something. 187 and 188. There you go. 187, 188 is what we use. So this is this. This is just a test color from Blooms. Silversmith, Lemon Szmal. There we go. And I'm going to label the back of this EYS. The date today it is good and 31 and 24. All right, so there's our color palette and the painting. I have to say, I love using these books for paintings like this because I would never have picked these colors for this piece. Ever. Not in a million years would I have picked those colors. I would have picked a whole bunch of different browns and stuff. But as a way to get out of my own head, it is absolutely fantastic.